Lectures from the Academy. Welcome! My name is Chrissy Dawn, and for the next few minutes I'm going to share with you a lecture from the Blue Heron Academy entitled, Your Spiritual DNA. Your Spiritual DNA is another podcast in a series of podcasts taken from the lectures of Dr. Gregory T. Lawton at the Blue Heron Academy of Healing Arts and Sciences from 1980 to 2022. This lecture has been presented to the students of the Academy's Holistic Health Program as part of their training in mind, body, and spirit medicine, and for students in the Academy's ongoing training programs in the Asian martial and healing arts. Your Spiritual DNA. I have personally identified 3 paths to knowledge and wisdom. One path is the path of science. Another path is the adoption of authentic spirituality. And the third path is the path of the personal practice of self-improvement, growth, and development. I consider this threefold approach to human development to be holistic because it is an expression of the best aspects of the human mind, the expression of the health of the human body, and the brightest manifestation of the human spirit. In this presentation, I primarily address the path of authentic spirituality and the development of the human soul. DNA is an organic and holistic substance that science has labeled a molecule. The word molecule may be translated to mean a very small substance. Biologists and physicists have been debating whether small particles, atoms, and even subatomic particles are forms of life, especially since these substances and particles form all life on Earth. However, most scientists think of atoms and molecules as non-living substances. This leads to the question, how can non-living particles create life? I'm going to make a quantum leap and accept the premise that human understanding of quantum physics, of subatomic particles and waveforms, of string theory, and of the existence of an infinite field of energy that permeates everything, or what I call the great unity of all things, and what historically was called the ether, has finally united authentic spirituality with real science. Allow me to repeat myself for those who might understand the significance of these things. Human understanding of quantum physics, subatomic particles and waveforms, string theory, and the existence of an infinite field of energy that permeates everything has finally united authentic spirituality with real science. Once again, human understanding has finally united authentic spirituality with real science. It is amazing that all life on this planet originates from the information encoded within a single kind of molecule, DNA. From the earliest expressions of life on Earth to the modern inhabitants of this planet, all life forms, from human to animal, and from bacteria to insect, are related to each other. For example, as human beings, we share 60% of our DNA with a banana. One wrong turn genetically, and you would be sitting here today looking like a banana and a fearful of monkeys. As human beings, every part of our body, our limbs, our skin, our organs, our eyes, and our senses, are all the result of 23 pairs of genetically inherited chromosomes. Every single cell in the human body contains the exact same 23 pairs of chromosomes, but the coding in our genes tells every part of the body what form it is to take and what its job is. Our genes are made up of strands of a protein polymer that are woven together into the chromosomes. DNA molecules are linked like pearls on a very long string. Our genetic material is so complex that if you unraveled all your DNA from all of your cells and laid out the DNA end to end, the strand would stretch from the Earth to the Sun many times. Further, you could fit 25,000 strands of DNA side by side within the width of a single adult hair. Contemporary research in human genetics has established, through extensive worldwide DNA testing, that all the human beings currently alive on Earth, all 7 billion plus of them, are all ancestors of one single man. By identifying mutations in the Y chromosomes of men living in various localities around the world, it is now known that all humankind is genetically related to a single individual who lived between 50,000 and 60,000 years ago. If our collective physical DNA is all derived from a single physical source, how difficult is it to imagine that our spiritual DNA, the essence of our soul, also originates from a single divine source? Does DNA only contain information and coding that pertains to physical life, the animal form of the human body? Or does human DNA also carry innate inherited characteristics related to mind and spirit? If there is spiritual DNA, it cannot be contained within the physical DNA, or it would perish at the end of the life of the physical body. Our spiritual DNA would be encoded within the human soul, which is attached to and connected with the physical body, but separate from it. A common saying regarding life and living is that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. In the writings of the Baha'i Faith, our physical existence in this life is described as a dream and a mere shadow. It is explained that this world is both temporary and illusionary. In the Baha'i writings, this world is described as shadow and dust, smoke and fire, and it is explained that this world is not the real world, and it is not true reality. This world is also described as a womb within which the human soul grows and develops the characteristics, virtues, and attributes that it needs to continue a healthy, happy, and whole existence in the next life. The baby is formed within the mother's womb, and if the baby does not form normally, it may be born into the physical world with certain deformities or disabilities. For example, the child may be born blind, it may be deaf, or it may be not capable of speech. In like manner, we are told that if in this world experience we do not develop spiritual characteristics and attributes, we will be born handicapped in the next life. Life on this earth cannot exist without light from the sun. Without the light, heat, and photons emitted by the sun, no life would exist on this planet, and the earth would be a barren rock. All life on Earth derives its existence from sunlight. Plants need sunlight to produce energy through the process of photosynthesis. Microscopic organisms in our oceans need sunlight to live and to multiply. And animals and humans need sunlight for survival, for warmth and light, and for our food supply. From the smallest microscopic organism to the apex of life on Earth, humankind, light from the sun is an essential and critical need. Sunlight creates nourishment for our bodies. Without this nourishment, we die. In like manner, spiritual light is the source of life for the human soul. Without the physical light and energy of sunlight, the earth and everything living upon it withers and dies. Without the light of the Great Spirit, the human soul would perish. Just as a car will not operate without gas, oil, or a charged battery, The human soul will not function properly unless we practice and acquire certain virtues and attributes. In various spiritual writings, we find that souls that do not develop and evolve spiritual attributes are born handicapped into the next world. Using the analogy of physical handicaps such as being born blind, deaf, mute, or unable to walk, without the development of our spiritual attributes, we are born into the next life deprived of perception, comprehension, communication, or unable to move throughout the worlds of God. Now we have arrived at the heart of our conversation about spiritual DNA. If this world is a womb within which we are forming our spiritual characteristics and attributes, then just like our physical and molecular DNA, there must be a blueprint for each unique soul that determines our individual spiritual characteristics, abilities, powers, and attributes. There must be, in effect, something like a spiritual DNA. Here we can understand that just like the characteristics that materialize in human appearance related to molecular DNA and genetic inheritance, our spiritual form is determined by our spiritual DNA. But we might now ask, what exactly is the nature of the soul? Or, what characteristics, attributes, powers, or abilities does the soul possess? In the Baha'i writings, it states that for the soul to exist after the death of the human body, the soul must be composed of some sort of energy that is not limited to physical particles like atoms or organic molecules. We can apply the methodology of the metaphor to our existing physical characteristics and determine that our physical senses, like seeing, hearing, and feeling, will become the spiritual ability of perception. Our ability to move around with our limbs will become an ability to travel unconstrained by the physical limitations of time and space. But we are repeatedly reminded that whatever our future powers and abilities may be, the most important attributes are our spiritual qualities and virtues. There are many clear references in the writings of the Baha'i Faith regarding the nature of the soul, and this is but one of them. Abdu'l-Baha says, "The soul is not a combination of elements. It is not composed of many atoms. It is of one indivisible substance, and therefore eternal. It is entirely out of the order of the physical creation. It is immortal." This concept of spiritual DNA may be nothing more than an interesting metaphor, but perhaps it is a useful one if it makes us aware of the vital importance of the opportunity presented in this life to contribute to the growth and development of our eternal soul, an opportunity that we did not have in our mother's womb and may not have in our next life. I hope this talk has helped you in your understanding of the nature and development of the human soul and your spiritual DNA as you develop and evolve through this transitory experience that we call life. This has been your narrator, Chrissy Dawn, and it has been my privilege to share this lecture and podcast with you. I hope you will continue to listen to our lectures from the Academy podcast series. Until next time, live life as if it matters, because it does.